In this week's episode of Movies Merica, I will review Cocaine Bear, and as you can see, I've got my closest version of our Cocaine Bear here this week, right here with Tugboat, and he's a little restless. All right, let's get into it.
In a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
Welcome on in, my friends and family. Welcome on in. Come on in. Welcome to the latest episode of Movies Merica. And like I mentioned, I will be reviewing Cocaine Bear. Yes, Cocaine Bear is the latest from Elizabeth Banks. She's the director of this movie. And just to give you a rundown of what Cocaine Bear is all about. Now, if you've seen the trailer here, you may have a pretty good idea from that. But just to make sure, Cocaine Bear basically all starts out when you've got some cocaine smugglers, and they're flying over this Chattahoochee National Forest. Something goes wrong. Suddenly, a bunch of keys of coke get dropped into this forest, just wherever. And, of course, it being the forest, there's a bear wandering around doing what bears do. And lo and behold, it stumbles upon this big pile of coke. Yes, yayo, as Tony Montana would call it. Yes, he's got the yayo. And so the bear gets into it. You know, it's snorting it. He's swallowing whole kilos of coke. And, of course, he ends up going on a cocaine bender. That's bad news for any creature, human or non-human, that may be in the vicinity. And so bears, from what I hear, are normally friendly. I'm not going to take that bet, but I'll believe the bear experts. They say that about great white sharks. I'm not about to jump in the ocean and go frolic around in the ocean with great white sharks, but if they want to say that they're friendly, all right. But so with the cocaine in the bear system, well, that changes the game. And so we have some unlucky hikers happen upon said bear, and he basically does what he does. He kills one of them, and then that continues and escalates throughout the rest of the movie, and that's the jumping off point. Okay, that's the base of the plot. And again, I'm sure if you saw the trailer, I mean, who hasn't, right? That spoke volumes. That told you exactly, like, that's what this movie is all about. Okay, this isn't Citizen Kane. This isn't Casablanca. Okay, this is better. This is Cocaine Bear. I mean, those movies bow at the feet or at the paws of Cocaine Bear. Okay, come on. Now, the marketing for this says that this story is inspired, or this movie is inspired by a true story. I would put double and triple emphasis on the word inspired. Okay, this is loosely inspired by a true story, because what happened to the bear after it got into all that booger sugar, what happened to that bear is quite a bit different than what we see in this sure-to-be cinematic masterpiece. This movie, like I mentioned before, is directed by professional victim / actress / director Elizabeth Banks. And I remember seeing Elizabeth Banks for the very first time in a very funny role in The 40-Year-Old Virgin back in the day. And she played Beth. She was the bookstore employee where Andy, Steve Carell goes in there, and he's been told by Seth Rogen, I think, like, just go in there and ask them questions. Ask a girl that you want to hook up with questions. And so he's going in there, and he's like, is there something I should be looking for? Do you like to do it yourself? She's like, well, if the mood strikes, So that whole scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin. And then she went on to role models and the Hunger Games movies, Brightburn. And then she directed the movie Pitch Perfect 2, which was a hit. And then a few years later on, and she decided that the world needed another Charlie's Angels movie. Okay. I guess the two Charlie's Angels movies that Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz and Lucy Liu had already done wasn't enough. So, you know what? Let's forego all the good original ideas out there, and let's just rehash a tired old show of Charlie's Angels. And you know what? Lo and behold, shock beyond shock. The movie flopped. Oh, my God. Like, who could have seen this coming? So, except everybody. Except for Elizabeth Banks, apparently. And so she went on, and she went on to blame men, basically, for why that movie flopped. Because she said that if the movie flops, then it's because men don't like to go see women in action films. Okay. You starred in 3 movies starring a female that was an action movie. The Hunger Games. Last time I checked, those made more than $10 at the box office there, Elizabeth Banks. But also, she had an embarrassing moment recently where she was, again, going after men because I guess she's got a lot of anger in her, I guess. And so she was at this Women in Film awards ceremony, and she was up there, and she was reading the room, and I guess when she read from the room, it was, bash men, bash male directors, we want to hear it, give it to us, throw us that red meat, Elizabeth Banks. So she decides to take a shot at some director you may have heard of, one Steven Spielberg, again, some director you may or may not have heard of. And she said that, well, Steven, he's never directed a movie that's starred a woman. Yeah, I know. I'm thinking the exact same thing. And apparently one of the audience members was thinking the exact same thing because they quickly corrected her and yelled out, "The color purple!" And she's like, oh, that's right. And I'm sure inside of her brain, she was like, oh, man, I got egg all over my face on this one. But she's like, okay, so he's got one. Well, you said he's never directed a movie with a woman. He's got one. That's enough to torpedo your gripe there, Elizabeth Banks. Okay. So, and also The Color Purple, not only did it star a woman, it starred a black woman. So Spielberg got two intersectional points for that. So good for him. All right, everybody. Hey, I just want to take a quick moment here to ask you to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell at the bottom. I keep pointing down because it should be down below yours truly somewhere in here, okay? And, of course, I refer to YouTube and Rumble and if you're watching this here. So, absolutely. So, this helps out with bringing you more and more episodes of Movies Merica because I want to help you out, okay? I want to help you out not just with the movie reviews because, okay, I get it. There's 7.3 million movie review shows on YouTube, Rumble, whatever. I got you, okay? But if you also like beer, and rumor has it in the world there's a couple beer lovers wandering around this planet. So I provide, apparently I've already been drinking too much beer. I provide some beer reviews there as well, okay? So just to turn you on to new beers and that kind of thing. And so what really helps me continue to do that is, if you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, that just helps with YouTube and Rumble bringing these episodes to you more prominently, okay? So they're right there in your face, yes. And then a notification bell, that'll make sure you get notified via the notification icon in YouTube and Rumble, letting you know that, hey, there's a brand new piping hot episode of Movies America with your name on it, okay? All right, thanks again, everybody, and on with the show. Cocaine Bear is one of those quirky pop culture moment kind of movies that gets people talking just based on the premise. Reminds me of like Snakes on a Plane, Samuel Jackson, fighting snakes, on a plane, obviously. Wow, there you go. Wow, I really went out there with that one. And then Movie 43 was another one where just kind of the quirky, different premise gave the movie more notoriety than it would have gotten otherwise. So again, like, the kind of movie where the premise gets people talking and the movie gets some credit that it doesn't necessarily earn. And so now with these premises like this, they sound hilarious to some people or a lot of people, right? But when you watch them, okay, then you quickly, along the way, you quickly realize that the premise is funnier than the actual execution of the movie. And so, like Snakes on a Plane or Movie 43, in my opinion, Cocaine Bear actually would have been funnier as just like a 5-10 minute Funny or Die sketch or something like that. Now, Cocaine Bear did have a great premise to conjure up some comedy. I mean, with this premise, with somebody with a little bit more talent, you could have done a myriad of funny things, with a plot and that kind of thing. I mean, I mentioned another movie earlier, 40-Year-Old Virgin. Now, the premise of a 40-Year-Old Virgin is simple, but it's hilarious, and it gives you all kind of comedy tentacles to stretch everywhere, right? And Judd Apatow that directed that movie did exactly that. He took, the 40-Year-Old Virgin, the basic premise, the basic hilarious premise, and he did the most you could do with it. And Elizabeth Banks really cannot say the same with what she did with a hilarious premise of a bear going around and doing, cocaine, going on a cocaine bender. And she didn't really. Okay, so the writer, I believe, is Jimmy Warden, and he just really didn't concentrate on creating good dialogue. I think he really phoned it in, and he was just counting on the premise, the funny premise, to kind of just carry the screenwriting, carry the script. And so all you really get is you don't get a whole lot of funny, or at least not as much funny as you really could have tapped out of this thing, okay? All you get is a bunch of goofy, quirky characters that you don't really care about in this thing running around. And, they really, really could have done a better job on this. So Cocaine Bear, dropped the cocaine, as far as the script goes on this one. Do better next time for Cocaine Bear 2. All right, everybody. So up until this point, I've been giving you the movie review. Well, now we need to give you the review of the Ice Cold Brew. Yes, it's about that time, folks. Yes. And so this episode's Lucky Beer is from Founders, coming from the great state of Michigan. And let's show you what we got here. So we got a little Founders Bottle Shop. It's our Bottle Shop series here, and it's the Belgian twist flavor or edition of their Bottle Shop series beer here. And it's a Belgian twist, and so the Belgian twist is a Belgian triple, is what it is. And it's 10% alcohol by volume, so it kicks more than your average Bud Light, okay? And it's got some agave nectar in it, is what I kind of tasted in there. And there's a reason for that, because, hey, they put agave nectar in it, okay? And it's, it's good and thick, but not too thick, okay? We're not drinking Aunt Jemima here, okay? But it is very tasty. I would recommend it. Founders is not some obscure beer brand. Okay, you should be able to find it, wherever beer is sold. So let me get that beer back up there. I don't know if you guys saw that earlier. But yeah, so Founders Belgian Twist. Okay, a Belgian triple. Okay, and yeah, let me take a tug off this. Seiss. I almost just want to just keep drinking that and finish the review. Okay, but all right, hey, it's pretty good. Again, I'd recommend it, and I'm not getting any money from Founders at all. But I just like beer, and I like brew, and this is a review for you. All right, let's keep on moving with Cocaine Bear. One thing this movie does deliver on is the gore, okay? Just given the funny or the comedic undertones of Cocaine Bear, I thought that there might be, some violence here, violence there, but it'd just be the violence would be so cartoonish that it wouldn't really hit at all. But Cocaine Bear, it brings the gore, okay? It's gorier than I thought it was going to be. Now, is it as gory as Terrifier or Terrifier 2, some of those just straight up blood and guts gore movies designed specifically for just blood and gore, gore porn, so to speak? No, it's not that bad. But given the lightheartedness of the trailer, that they had out there, I was surprised. Now I guess it's goes with the territory. You have a huge bear on a cocaine bender killing people. You're gonna have to have some violence and some gore. But I think some people are going to be surprised, at least mildly surprised by the gore and the violence in this. I'd be able to think that. So if you're going in there with a expectation of lightheartedness and hey, this is just gonna be a goofy little comedy, it tries to be that, but also they are not holding back on the gore whatsoever. I mean, you have limbs and entrails flying aplenty, and they have one shot there where the bear is doing his thing to a guy, and they just kind of stay on it, and I was watching, I was like, what, this the tone of what I'm watching here with this guy getting ripped up does not fit within the silliness of the rest of the movie. And maybe maybe I'm the only one that hits like that. I don't know. But I'm normally not squeamish about gory, bloody movies. And, I can compartmentalize and go, okay, this is not real. There's some special makeup effects artists that need a job, and so I'm picturing a bunch of nerdy dudes with beer guts in some studio somewhere, having fun, spraying fake blood everywhere. Hey, what if we do this? Hey, let's cut off the arm this way. Let's have him pull his head off and see the blood spraying everywhere. And there's some gore nerds, makeup effects artists, having fun with it. So that's where my mind goes when I see some just bloody, gory carnage there. But so prepare yourself. The cast in this are a lot of actors that have been in just plain better movies and TV shows. Ray Liotta, of course. You have Keri Russell from the TV series The Americans. You have Ice Cube's kid, O'Shea Jackson, from Straight Outta Compton. Margo Martindale from the TV series The Watcher. Jesse Tyler Ferguson from Modern Family is in this. And so I couldn't help but think when I was watching him, wow, they were so much better in this, and they were so much better in that. And I'm seeing him here in Cocaine Bear being wasted. And to be honest with you, another tribute to Ray Liotta, his character in this is about the only character that actually had some characteristic or had some idiosyncrasy about his personality that even remotely interested me. Okay, every other character was just this. It's just a classic portrayal of a character we've seen 1,000 times before. I mean, they just they basically just were just kind of a stereotypical character, and they're all like so one dimensional. I didn't care about any of them, so not to be cold hearted, but I was like, all right, the bear can take these people, and I don't care. All right, I was like, bear, eat up. All right, it's chow time. Get yourself some Keri Russell. Get yourself some O'Shea Jackson. All right. Get yourself some Margo Martindale, all right? Eat hearty, okay? I just didn't care. And again, with Ray Liotta being the most interesting part of this movie, I think part of it, the reason that is because he's kind of playing a mixture of his two Henry characters, okay? Henry Hill from Goodfellas, and then Henry Oak from Narc back in 2002. And that just makes him really the most compelling character in Cocaine Bear. Sadly, this was Ray Liotta's last movie. He was a Hollywood legend, a acting legend, and I'm sure, like most people, they saw him for the very first time in Goodfellas as Henry Hill, and some saw him for the first time in Something Wild. That was a movie with him and Jeff Daniels and Melanie Griffith, where he played Melanie Griffith's ex-husband in a very menacing, dangerous way. But then he went on to become a household name, so to speak, as Henry Hill in Goodfellas and in a number of different films. And I couldn't remember if this was his last movie or that TV series Blackbird that he was in. I think with Taron Egerton was his last acting gig, or the Many Saints of Newark, that's Sopranos prequel. Couldn't remember which one of the movies was his last one. Apparently, Cocaine Bear was his last movie, and he will be sorely missed. And now, as I'm sure you know, his death in real life was not at the hands, or should I say, paws of a bear. He went out in less dramatic fashion. But Ray Liotta, he will be missed, and be missed by yours truly here. Just so many movies. He brought me so much entertainment and joy watching him in movies. But I'm going to pour out a little Founders for one Ray Liotta. This is one of those movies where the premise was much funnier in the 2-minute trailer as opposed to a 90-minute movie, okay? It's this is similar to the Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan characters from Night at the Roxbury, okay? So I remember watching those two characters on SNL in the skits and thinking that was hilarious, and then you get the "What is love?" That the Hadaway song playing, and you're just doing the neck thing, and I thought that was hilarious as a skit. But then when SNL does what they've done with a bunch of their skits, Wayne's World and Superstar and those kind of movies, when they spread out the whole premise of the Night at the Roxbury guys across 90 minutes, well, then it got less funny. That whole movie, The Night at the Roxbury, ended up crashing and burning, like those two characters with the ladies, right? And so with Cocaine Bear, the jokes just fall flat. Okay, just the supposedly humorous premises fall flat. Like there's a plot where, or not really a plot, but like just some guy's got a tattoo, a fresh new tattoo, and they misspelled his tattoo. Come on, we've seen that in a bunch of movies before. You've got a character that is clumsy with a gun. Okay, she's got a gun. She's clumsy with it. To deadly consequences, right? To a deadly fault, and can't shoot straight. I don't know if there's like an anti-2A messaging in there from Elizabeth Banks. I don't know. She's trying to portray like any non-law enforcement personnel that gets a gun is going to be clumsy like this skank that has this gun in this. Another supposedly funny thing that happened here is Ray Liotta plays the grandpa to this grandson that he's been forced to babysit, and he can't stand his grandson. Just stuff like that really we've seen before, or the way they execute it just isn't funny. I mean, just try harder. I inevitably we're going to get a Cocaine Bear too, okay? Now that could be a good thing if they get a better writer, or the writer obviously just puts in more effort next time. We'll see. Now, Cocaine Bear is making some pretty good bank compared to what the initial projections were for Cocaine Bear and for a movie like this. I think it has a budget of like 30 million something, okay? And it made like 21 million, 22 million in its opening weekend, okay? So it's well on its way to making its budget back, and it's going to surpass making its budget back, and the marketing and all that involved with it. And actually, it either beats or almost beat out Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania in its second week, which is just embarrassing for Marvel. I mean, even for Cocaine Bear to get close to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania in its second week, woo, yeah. Kevin Feige, you got some splaining to do. I know, I just can't let it go. I know, I'm like a dog on a bone, but I just want to ask again that you like this video and subscribe to this channel, all right? And then hit that notification bell down there, because like I said before, it just gives you a notification for when a hot, piping, new, thrilling, action-packed Movies Merica episode is ready for you, okay? For you, okay? And also get in that comment section. There's a comment section on there. Get on down there. Get comfy, cozy in that comment section. Let me know, hey, did you like Cocaine Bear? If so, what was the best thing about it for you? Did you hate it? What was the thing you hated the most about it? Hey, put some suggestions in there in the comments. Tell me, hey, what do you think that I could do better? Because I realize when I'm doing this, I'm not doing it perfectly. I mean, to be honest, anybody doing videos like this, who does it perfectly, right? But there are some that do it better than others, okay? And so I always want to do, better for you, okay? And who couldn't use a little constructive criticism, right? Am I right? Exactly. Okay. And also, if you're listening, if you're just listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, any podcast source you can think of, yeah, feel free to give it a 5-star rating, and then also follow the show on Apple Podcasts. If you go to the very tippy top of Apple Podcasts and hit the ellipsis, the 3 dots up at the very top, there's a follow the show option, and that just helps you follow the show. And I believe on Spotify, Google Podcasts, I have something along those same lines there, okay? All right, enough out of me about that, all right? Let's get on with the show. I got to say, it's surreal to see actor Kristofer Hivju from Game of Thrones. He played the gigantic, menacing, wildling Tormund Giantsbane in Game of Thrones, okay? He was, at first in Game of Thrones, he was going up against Jon Snow, and then ended up, being, good old pals, compadres with Jon Snow in Game of Thrones. So he's like big, massive, red beard, and he had the hots for Brienne Tarth there in Game of Thrones. And so he's this big hulking character, right, in Game of Thrones. But it's weird and it's surreal in this movie, Cocaine Bear, to see him. He's like this granola chomping, tree hugging, hippie type, traveling around with his granola, chopping, tree hugging hippie girlfriend in this, and he looks like he's shrunken down quite a bit. I'm guessing he's probably not hitting the old gym as much as he did back in the Game of Thrones days in this. So I just thought that was kind of funny to see him in this, and it's refreshing. I mean, he does do a good job in this movie, just because it's kind of funny to see him do a kind of a quirky, funny character, because he was anything well, he wasn't quirky. He was funny in Game of Thrones, but he wasn't quirky in this. But yeah, he cracked me up. Okay, so him and Ray Liotta were interesting in this movie, and then seeing Alden Ehrenreich in this was a little weird too, because his moment to shine was supposed to be him starring as a young Han Solo in the Ron Howard directed Solo movie a few years ago, which ended up being the first Star Wars themed movie to actually lose money. Yes, a Star Wars themed movie actually lost cashola, lost the moolah. Yes, lost the greenbacks. Yes, and it was directed by Ron Howard. Oh my God! And it was about Han Solo. Like, who would have thought that a movie about one of the most popular characters in Star Wars lore, Han Solo, and his origin story, would have lost money? But I digress. But yeah, so that's kind of one of the interesting things about Cocaine Bear, is just seeing a couple of actors that make a great departure from roles that we know them for a lot more than what they're doing in Cocaine Bear. Just to add to the offbeat, quirky nature of Cocaine Bear, Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo did this soundtrack here. So Devo, of Whip It fame and a myriad of other hits that Devo did. A lot of people think Devo's only hit was Whip It, more popular song. And that is true. Like, Whip It was like their only top 100 hit ever. But there's a lot of great songs from Devo. But Mark Mothersbaugh, the lead singer of Devo back in the day, did the soundtrack for Cocaine Bear, and he also did the soundtrack for Thor Ragnarok. So this is not his first trip to the zoo as far as doing a soundtrack. But yeah, it just adds to the quirkiness of this movie. A quirky movie like Thor Ragnarok was, okay? But yeah, I can't honestly recommend that you have to go see Cocaine Bear at the theaters. I will say go see it at the theaters just to support the theaters. Okay, I don't want to see theaters go the way of Betamax VCRs. Okay, I want theaters to be around, and so it just helps. And also, I think you'll find that Cocaine Bear is actually more fun in a crowd of people. Okay, all right. While you're on cocaine. Totally sober. Did I say that? But I did notice, like, when I saw it at the theater, the movie was more enjoyable just because I saw the people around me watching it too, having a good time. But if I was just sitting at home, all by my lonesome watching it, yeah, it wouldn't have done anything for me whatsoever. So that's my take on Cocaine Bear. So you can decide if you want to get your paws on it or not. Who knows? But anyway, so again, like this video, subscribe to this channel if you would, hit that notification bell, and yeah, send me a comment. That'd be fantastic. I love to hear from you. And as I always say, hey, get out there, people. Those movies aren't going to watch themselves. Stay safe. Oh, yeah. Don't leave quite yet. No. Hey, the night is still so young, and you didn't get that babysitter for nothing. Come on. It's like something o'clock. Okay, right now. Okay, so stay here and like this video if you would. Subscribe to the channel. That'd be fantastic. Hey, and while I'm in the asking mood over here, because I'm just partying up here, and so should you, watch these videos over here if you would. Oh, yeah. All the cool kids are doing it, and then like them if you would. Absolutely, okay? Hey, and with that, thanks for watching this video and Movies Merica and Till Death Podcast Network. All right, let's party it up.